Justin Cotler, a quick underdogs update. We have Europe and Asia coming this week. Obviously, we'll kick off in Asia. So you've actually got a few athletes over there. I don't know why I said that. Like I was surprised. So on the team side, you've got Kalashnikov. You're coaching them again this year. Is that right?
Yeah, so I've been working with Ajan, who's one of their team members for a while, and we last year Tommy Hackenbrook coached their team, and so leading up to semifinals, I've been programming for the team, and then obviously, if they qualify, we'll work with them. They'll probably end up coming to Vegas. They've come to Vegas the last couple of years prior to the games, so hopefully, once they win Asia. Because you have to, right? There's only one spot in Asia for a team. So once they win, hopefully they'll be able to head over here prior to the games, and I'll be able to coach them in person leading up to the games.
You've Omer
Reshef. She moved to Vegas this past season. She's been here since October. She works with one of our coaches, Brendan Snyder. And she's definitely going to be in the mix, I think, for top 5, maybe even top 3 over there. The fact that they've got another spot, I think, is very exciting.
It's a nice boost for her heading in.
Huge. Young athlete from Israel. She's great, man. So Brendan and she took the long voyage to Korea. Like 3 days to get there. They left a couple days ago, and so they're there getting settled in, hopefully getting acclimated, and obviously kick off in a couple days.
And you've got Ivan there too.
We do. Ivan won quarterfinals. Tommy Hackenbrook is his coach, and Ivan's a big, strong boy. Kind of reminds me a lot of Braun. So I think you're going to see him dominate a couple of events, and then I think you'll see him have to manage a few events. But he'll be in the mix absolutely for one of those spots there. I think he's got a good shot to make the games.
Back over close to home then, well, very close to my home.
Close to your home.
So I had Luka Jukic on the show last week. Great guy, like unbelievable guy. He obviously, thankfully, took the decision to skip the Athens Throwdown, and just breeze past that. Him and Kiefer seem to have a really good working relationship going on. Maybe I'm kind of buying into the hype, but I kind of feel like this maybe is his year. Do you kind of feel the same?
I do. Yeah, I do. Kiefer, we spoke a little bit about him earlier today. Kiefer said he's really dialed in. Has had the best off-season training of his career. Really filled in some of the gaps when it comes to weaknesses. I think, a couple of these events might have scared him in the past, but I think now he looks at them and he feels like he can handle just about anything. And listen, I know some of his times from testing, and I think he's gonna. I think that there'll be a couple of events that he may win or be close to winning. And also it helps a little bit. They don't train together, obviously, but having Lazar there, and kind of knowing where he's at with some of his times and stuff, being able to compare, and obviously Luka has compared very favorably in semis testing. So I think he's got a lot of confidence going in. Kiefer's going to be going over to Europe, so I think it'll be great to have Kiefer there for him in person, and it would not surprise me one bit if he takes one of those spots. Very coveted spots, I must say.
More so than they're more coveted than they were last week.
Oh my gosh!
So Braun, then another guy, he's looking to return to the games, and I'm guessing it's basically been the same as last off season, just working on conditioning and improving those kind of weaknesses. Get out, Jax.
Hence the reason why why I said let me get my my wife and kids out before. Didn't happen. She ended up giving me a haircut, and so there you go.
Oh, you're good.
So you just got to see Jackson, guys. Yeah, with a fresh new do. I would say it's a little more hectic than last year, and the reason I say that is because this past week he did the age group qualifiers. So Braun's goal this year is to win 35 to 39 age group at the games, and to qualify individually for the game. So he wants to do both. He wants
Okay.
to double down. He will easily qualify for age group. He's in fourth, I think, right now. It's unofficial, but
Yeah.
he's in fourth currently. And listen, when I look at these semis workouts, if we're being perfectly honest, I think it's going to be a tale of kind of two stories for him. I think the first three workouts he will have to manage. And I can see him probably being somewhere in the middle of the pack. And then 4, 5, and 6, that final day are all fantastic for him. He may have at least one event win there, obviously on the snatch, but I wouldn't rule him out on the row handstand walk either. People don't realize how good he is on his hands, and he's a beast on the rower. And that final event is very, very good for him too. He's got those bear paws, so he should be able to. That lunge isn't an issue, and he can eat the bike. So I could see him making an absolutely monumental comeback on day 3. And I think he's prepared in his mind, like, that running event we've got to manage, that 5-rounder, and then the legless rope climbs. And he's fine at legless rope climbs, but I don't think it's I don't think it's top 5 event for him.
Yeah.
So he may have to make up some points that final day, but if there's anybody who can do it, it's him. He's just so steady. He's so chill. He's extremely confident in himself. He's just one of those guys, that he also tends to be a gamer, where his practice times are nowhere near as good as his competition times. I just don't think he likes, he's 35 years old now. It's not easy to go to that place in practice all the time where you've got to go into the pain cave and then it takes time to recover. So we tested the workouts. He did fine, but I can see him probably elevating that a whole nother level once he gets to France. And wouldn't surprise me one bit, if he ends up with a spot, man. He's just solid, and he's a gamer.
Anyone that listened to or watched Savan podcast yesterday would have seen Sara announce that she's done for the season, that she qualified for semi-finals. She was due to go to France, go to Lyon, but she's opting out. Is that, as a coach, like when you have an athlete, especially an athlete that's as well known as her, as famous as her, as well liked as her, is that like a tough pill to swallow when it kind of doesn't really work out the way you guys maybe hoped?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just sad for the sport. I think she's just so good for the sport. She's just like this bright light, and really, I've never met anyone like her. Just she's exactly what you see on social media, and in person. She's just that good of a person. And for someone who's kind of an icon of the sport, right, who's got millions of followers, we're not talking about thousands, we're talking about millions, and there aren't a lot of those in our sport. She's just so genuine and such a great person, and she's just been dealing with so much that people haven't really known about. They've speculated, but they haven't really understood the full story. And I'm happy she got an opportunity to kind of reveal those things. And I stand behind her 100%. I think that this is the right decision. I think that there are some things that we need to be able to do in training, some answers that she needs to get as far as her health is concerned, to be able to get on the competition floor and feel like herself. I think right now it would be us trying to force her out there. And I don't think that's the right decision. And it's not the right place for her to show all the things that she can do or what we've been working on. So, I believe it's the right decision 100%. I have no doubt in my mind. It's very tough to deal with, but at the same time, it's the right choice.
The autoimmune condition, so it's like it's got arthritis in the name, so you can kind of assume it's like joint pain, essentially, like things grinding against each other and things being painful, like swelling and inflammation and stuff.
Yeah.
With her training, what is the actual name of the?
Yeah, so it's called
arthritis.
reactive arthritis.
And does that mean that it react to outside stimuluses, or it's
So
like,
so that's the thing about autoimmune, man, is they're not really, any of them, whether you're talking about ulcerative colitis, rheumatoid arthritis, like why it happens, what flares it, etc., is very difficult. It is treatable, but you have to get the right combination or the right, concoction of medications. And if you do that, then it's tolerable. But if you don't, extra stress to the body, things like that, lack of sleep, travel, all those things can affect it. And she deals with, like you said, exactly, inflammation, joint pain, and it's generally in the joints that are significantly affected by CrossFit.
so
you know
ankles, knees, elbows,
yeah,
wrists?
and
Uh,
specifically with her, generally lower body, and it's very painful, and there are things that she can do that are fine, but then there are things that she can't, and I think for this semifinals that it was really the bounding. You're
Yeah.
talking about the first three events with running, 500 dubs, box jumps, etc. Those are things that are really challenging when you have something like this, and I think people still assume that it's the ACL, from a couple years ago, and that's not it. That's not the issue. And anyone who has suffered with an autoimmune disease, and I think one of the reasons why, she and I, at this point in her career, why, I fit and why I make sense is also because I've been dealing with autoimmune disease myself since I was 17 years old. I've had ulcerative colitis that turned in, that also presented itself as I got older into psoriatic arthritis. So I have dealt with those medications, those types of debilitating pain where you literally feel like you can't get out of bed, and walking hurts. Like there are times that I felt that way, and I understand a lot of what she's dealing with. So I think it's easier as a coach, for her to have somebody who she can talk to, and fuck, I get it. It's not like, oh, well, go do this, you'll be fine. No, there are some days that I understand, like, no, that's just not going to happen.
If you look at the last, say, from last August to now, as 100%, is her training capacity near 200%, or was it further towards, like, say, 50%? Like, were there days where she'd wake up and just be like, I can't go to the gym, or days where she'd wake up and say, I can't do any leg stuff?
Weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not it was nowhere near what we wanted it to be. There was a lot of stuff. And then, what people don't understand is the medications you have to take for most autoimmune deficiencies, most autoimmune diseases, they smash the shit out of your immune system. So, when you have a compromised immune system, you get sicker more often, and you can't fight off infection.
Hmm.
So if something happens where you get an infection or a virus, and say you can't take your medication for 2-3 weeks because you're fighting that and you're trying to kickstart your immune system, well, then the whole cycle starts over again. So you may then have a flare up because you're not taking your medication consistently, because you need to get off the medication so that you can support your immune system. So there's a whole bunch of things that people don't realize. And I think sometimes we like to knock down our heroes. It's very easy to knock down our heroes. Um, and in this case, I just don't think people understood the whole story, and hopefully now they'll give her some grace, because what she's dealing with is extremely difficult.
Do you think we'll see her back?
I do. I think that, I really believe that she now understands, as much as she's tough, man. I mean, she's one of the toughest people I know. She just wants to go. And there's times now where she can't. And
Hmm.
we have to build it back, and we have to take the time that we need to be able to put her out there, in a condition that she can compete at an elite level with no limitation. And that's going to take time. And I think that she understands that. And she'll have me there to constantly, kind of be sitting on her shoulder and reminding her and being like, hey, we can't do that this week. We can't do that. I know you want to do it, but we can't do it. She's got a really good team around her too. Besides me, obviously Snorri. I mean, Snorri's as good as it gets for anybody who knows, the sport and understands. And they've been together forever, and he will do whatever she needs as well. So, I do believe that we will. I think she wants to go out on her terms. I think it's very important to her. And she's only 30 years old. You look at the sport now, and it's very common to see athletes go well into their mid 30s. So she's got time, and that's what we need right now. We need to give it time.
Jamie Harrop, JST update. Jen Moore and Ella Wilkinson are on the female side, heading into France. How is the general mood in the camp? Are both girls like feeling happy, ready to go, confident?
Yeah, really good. So I'm up in Scotland with Jen. We spent the last kind of few days refining all the workouts, fine tuning everything. Jen's flying on Wednesday morning to Lyon, and then Ella's flying tomorrow. Ella's been down in Wigan. And yeah, I think it's going to be a good experience.
Both of them are like injury free, niggle free, like ready to go, or is there any kind of, we need to keep an eye on that?
No, both injury and niggle free. Jen probably last couple of weeks has had a bit of a cold, which is why we've just spent a little bit longer refining the workouts because we wanted her to recover from the cold before she started really hitting them.
What's their reaction been to the changes in the allocations? Like, obviously, there are probably two of the athletes who would be in or around that kind of general mark. Maybe if things go the way people expect them to go, that they'd be somewhere between maybe 14th to 8th will be where you'd put the two of the two girls. Did it have any kind of damper on preparations, or do you just kind of say, look, the job is the same, we still have a line to get over?
Yeah, I think obviously everyone would like more spots, 15 spots, 20 spots, or 11 like last year. But Jen and I had a little chat yesterday, and we've just tried to really just focus on, giving your best effort for each workout, controlling the things you can control, and not kind of getting carried away with any chatter in your head that's outside of your control.
With the workouts then, obviously the handstand walk is a nice like wheelhouse kind of one for Ella. Is there any workouts that you feel outside of that one will be nice confidence boosting ones? And I guess conversely, is there any that you think like, okay, that's probably a damage control one?
Yeah, so last year for Jen, she obviously had some very up and down workouts, world record and then rut rim muscle ups, which were super tough for her. Whereas this year, hopefully across the board, they'll be a lot more consistent. And I think the same for Ella. I think they look really good workouts for her.
The team then obviously have had a nice long preparation since team quarterfinals. JST, how are they preparing? Are they like feeling good and ready to go?
Yeah. So they're flying out tomorrow. They said training's been going well. They've been fine tuning the workouts, and they think hopefully the workouts allow them to play to their strengths. So I think they're feeling good, ready to go.
If you're a gambling man, would you say you'd be booking whatever 6 flights, the team and the 2 individuals, to Texas, or is that too bold a statement?
Fingers crossed, yeah.
A HWPO training update then from Ste Fawcett. So I'm gonna try my arm at some of these Asian names. Bear with, and apologies. So we'll start over there. So you got Hassan. I'm not even going to try the second surname. You got Kang, Maysam. They're all on the guy side, and then Yuko and Nahyun, they're on the female side. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
I
was just looking at the names as you said them. Then
those guys and girls, they're all they've, I guess, had an extra few days with the workouts, maybe longer than they would have thought they would have had, and they've also got the bonus news of extra additional spots or a change in the allocations for Asia to the games. Is there like a good mood in Asia? Has it changed things for them, do you think?
I mean, I can speak for Oceania on that sense, and I think that's definitely increased some morale. So I can only imagine it happen is the same in Asia as well. Those guys, those 5 are all from HWPO Pro. So communication just literally comes through our programming there. So in terms of one-to-one sport, I couldn't tell you in terms of like how they're feeling about recent news, but it can only be a big morale positive. I remember when Meridian region got an extra 2 back in the day, and that was always received very well. But yeah, I can imagine there's a few people who have took some motivation from that.
Back in Europe then, some easier to pronounce names from my perspective anyway. So Jacqueline Dahlstrom on the female side, obviously an off season of change. We'll say she had a frustrating end to her season last year with the whole Lane 8 controversy. She gets to run outside this year, so no excuses. She's left, so she was with the program. She's moved over to you guys. You've had like an entire off season with her now, working with her from HWPO. Has it been like, have you been pleasantly surprised with the athlete that you inherited, we'll say, and have you been able to build upon the last few years from the program? Do you think she's in a position now where she's ready to push on and reclaim a spot to the games?
Yeah, definitely. I think with Jacqueline, our approach to training was definitely different to how she's approached training. The success that she's had in previous years, our approach was definitely a little bit different, but she, she kept the trust in the process there. And I think she's now starting to feel, since the quarterfinals leading to this point where she's starting to feel everything coming together, and really starting feeling confident in her lifting, in her Metcon times, in her conditioning. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how she is in comparison to previous years, stepping on the floor with a, I wouldn't say completely different approach to training, but definitely a different approach.
And she's feeling good. There's no like injury concerns or like worries like that.
No, nothing reported. No, I think the workouts seem like a good set of workouts for her as well, that she should be able to, compete on all of those 6. Nothing that's been holding her back. She's had a pretty smooth year, to be fair. The odd little thing that, like most athletes, you have to work around, but nothing that's kept her out of the game for longer than a few days. So it'd be good to see her. It'd be good to see her in action this week.
Victor, then on the guy's side, Victor Hofer, he's at an unusual point of his career where, from my perspective, he's already incredibly well known. He's got great success off the competition floor. He made a splash last year, especially in the gymnastics. Just he's phenomenal when it comes to that. He got to experience demo team. Also a fantastic piece of experience for him. He hasn't actually achieved it on the competition floor in the same amount as he has off the competition floor. Does that bring pressure with it? Like, do you have to kind of legislate for that kind of thing with someone and kind of sit them down and talk to them about that? It will hit a bit different. There will be an extra weight of expectation on him because he's so well known.
Yeah, and I think you add also into that we're in France as well, and the support from the people around and the people in the stadium is just going to add to that more so if it was in a different country within Europe. But he's got, for 21 years old, he's got a really level head and a mature head. He doesn't get himself caught into the hype. He can keep himself pretty calm. He knows the position that he's in. He knows what he's capable of doing. But he also knows that he's got to let his his performance do the talking at this stage. Like, he knows that he needs to punch that ticket to keep things going. And he's pretty, like every athlete, you get nerves with 3-4 days out now from day one. You get some nerves in there, a little bit of apprehension, but everything's positive and everything is done in the last however long we've had since the workouts, 10 days. Has all gone to plan. So yeah, he's in a good position.
I could be reading too much into this, but have you been spending more time with him? Like, have you invested a lot in him? Because I've seen you spend a lot. Like, you've been over in France a good bit. He's been like over to Mallorca with you as well. Is it like like, do you see something in him? Like, do you see potential in him, especially as someone so young, that something special could happen there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it helps for me that he's a 1 hour flight away compared to, you know, a lot of the guys that are going to help out in the US. It's a bit of a different, bit of a longer trip to go across for, you know, 12 hours or however long it is. But yeah, I mean, like we say, he's just turned 21, and we know physically he's great in terms of the skills that he's capable of, and his strength and his fitness. It is a lot more about, he's probably more so around mentoring than, you know, trying to get him stronger or fitter, because his body adapts, and his body adapts well to a lot of different styles of training. Like he is talented in that sense. But as we know, there's a lot more to competing in the sport than just being able to be strong, fit, and skillful. So, yeah, a lot of it is, if I can give any kind of experience of the last 14 years or however old I am in the space, then I'll try and get as much of that over to him so that he has, you know, he can speed up that process of going through the learning process that every athlete needs to go through. So yeah, definitely just a bit more of a arm around the shoulder and a bit of a more of a calming voice. Like you said, he's 21. He's really keen. He's really eager to achieve things and go all in for the career. But you know, at 21, we've got a decade at least ahead of him in the space. So it just needs to be just keep things sensible for the time being.
And no, like, niggles there either, like firing on all cylinders, ready to go.
Yeah, no more than the usual. I think we have on the first 3 days, the first 3 events, we have, you know, quite a bit of bounding and quite a bit of calf work. So a big focus of this week has just been keeping his calves and his Achilles and everything nice and healthy, and making sure that we're not creating too much fatigue and practicing those movements. Running, as we know, has been his biggest weakness in previous competitions. So we've had a good focus on that leading in, but now we know that we have like this specific run workout. We also don't want to suddenly ramp up any huge volume and then give him any foot and calf problems, which have been previously an issue. So nothing that's going to hold him back. Don't have to, you know, approach any workout differently because of he's got anything holding him back. Is on all cylinders at this point.